Noon and welcome to The Rundown. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and here are some of your top stories for today, the 9th of September. The Senate Republicans eye Thursday's vote on the COVID-19 relief, and Donald Trump says Democrats endangering lives by questioning his coronavirus vaccine push. Repeat belief shots could be available by October. And bond denied for Georgia trooper who fatally shot and killed a black motorist. Anthony Scaramucci demands to know what happened to over $200 million the Republican Party funneled to Donald Trump. And Ahmaud Arbery's mom calls out people she said have been profiting off of her son's death. And did Adderall fall out of Trump's nose at a press conference? Let's get to the news. Senate Republicans introduced their new coronavirus relief bill Tuesday and are eyeing a vote later this week after weeks of stalling negotiations between the White House and Democratic leaders over an aid package. The new, more narrow GOP proposal will provide $300 in increased weekly federal unemployment benefits through December 27th, additional money for the Paycheck Protection Program, and liability protections for schools and businesses as they try to reopen. Top priority for Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. The cost of the package is estimated to be $500 billion, but the measure also proposes re-signing hundreds of billions in previous appropriated funds to hold down the costs. The Senate Republicans are optimistic that the vast majority of the conference will support the measure, but there hasn't yet been a final whip count. The Senate will vote on the bill Thursday. Good afternoon, and once again, welcome to The Rundown. I am Captivating Christian, and this is the segment where I just talk about the stories of this afternoon in the broadcast. And first, before we get started, I would like to say welcome to all new viewers and watchers, subscribers. Hopefully you enjoy what you see. Hit that like button, hit that bell as well so you never miss an update of what's going on here at Cap Hill. To my state reps, welcome, 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 and let's get into some things and have some fun. All right, shall we? Let's go. So first we have, who else but old turkey neck himself, Mitch McConnell. So here, the Senate, the Republican Senate actually, now talking about the stimulus package part 2, or do. So we'll see how this goes. Apparently they're supposed to actually have a vote on it on Thursday. We shall see. Tuesday they did have it, basically a debate about it where they go back and forth, and I guess that went well. I don't know how well $600 to $300 is going to fare with many Americans, as well as knowing that the small business protection loan, a lot of people scammed it and got rich or tried to get richer off of it. They're going to keep that, and it also still has a surplus of about $100 and some odd million. So I'm just curious on how they plan to do all this, and even do better regulations on the big businesses who is breaking up in small businesses to get extra funding from this relief fund that they were getting millions and millions of dollars. So again, want to see how this works, and of course they would give money to that because they were the ones stealing it in the first place. But anyway, I digress. The people need it. I just don't understand why it is so hard or so much of a fight for something that could have been prevented, or at least prevented to the extent where in which it wouldn't have hit so hard and been so catastrophic for many of Americans, to the point where now, you literally got to beg for your money back. It's kind of ridiculous. And hopefully November will be a memorandum on a lot of politicians, Republican and Democrat alike, to where in which things would have to change because the people have elected you to serve, them. And when you don't do that, especially when times like this, your main concern should be the people, not worrying about if you can fat your own pockets, but to make sure that people will have a roof over their head and adequate food, at least until it subsides. And then, you can go back to business as usual. But for the time being, the focus should be more of the people and less of the business. President Donald Trump on Monday repeated his belief there could be a coronavirus vaccine by October and accused his political opponent of endangering lives by questioning whether shots approved by his administration would be safe. The vaccine will be very safe, Mr. Trump said at a Labor Day press conference from the White House. You could have a very big surprise coming up. Multiple vaccine candidates are steeping in phase 3 as Mr. Trump scrambles to stamp out a pandemic that has killed nearly 190,000 people in the U.S. Experts say it's a stretch to think that a vaccine could be ready and available by Election Day, November 3rd, given the time it takes to enroll 30,000 people in each trial. Give them doses and then wait to see what kind of immunity response it produces and who gets sick and who doesn't. They say November or December is more likely, though, Mr. Trump said on Monday. Presidential candidate Joe Biden and other Democrats say that Mr. Trump's zeal for a vaccine is making them sketchy about the political influence on regulators at the Food and Drug Administration. Vaccines must clear a high bar for safety, in part because they are administered to healthy people rather than to sick and desperate. Vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris suggested on Sunday she'll have to think twice before taking the vaccine. And here we go with this story with my favorite person that I like to talk about so much. Who else but our lovely President Orange. So here we go. So President Donald Trump is basically trying to push this vaccine out as quick as possible before the election, again, in hopes that it will actually gain him some vote cred, and people actually go to the polls and go, well, he got a vaccine, let me vote for him. I really hope he doesn't think people are that dumb. Besides all the other stuff you've done, the killing of almost 200,000 people, the infection of almost 6 million, going on 7, not to mention your own corruption and things that you've done. But, who knows? I guess you throw anything out there, you think stimulus checks and a vaccine will make everything better. But who knows? So here we go. He was trying to push this vaccine and saying that Democrats, and their precaution of this vaccine is costing many lives. Really? So the 200,000 lives that you've caused, deaths that you've caused, while you was talking about it was a hoax, it was the China virus, and not taking it seriously, we're not taking that into account? Okay, but we'd rather take into account you injecting millions of people with some quick doctored vaccine that could possibly lead to more deaths, and this coming from the person that talks about injecting bleach, and we're just supposed to be down for a vaccine just because you said so? I'll pass on that. In my famous words, I'll wait and pass. No, I don't think so. Although it is highly important that we kind of stick more to the social guidelines that we do have by the CDC and Dr. Fauci, the actual expert on this. Only for the simple fact that the flu season is coming upon us, and he did say that if we don't get a handle on this coronavirus before the flu and winter months hit, it may be a huge problem. So hopefully they're able to ring it all in, and we're able to, kind of at least be masked up and wash our hands and do what we need to do. But yeah, this is total foolishness. I can't see or understand how you would rush and endanger the lives of more people by forcing a vaccine, not giving it enough time to actually figure out if it works or not between trials, and the effects, as far as side effects to the people, is beyond my comprehension. But anyway, yeah, he's pushing for a vaccine in hopes that it would get him some voting cred, but I guess good luck. The former Georgia State Patrol officer who fatally shot a 60-year-old black man in the head won't be getting out of jail anytime soon. On Friday, September 3rd, the judge denied bond for Jacob Gordon Thompson. On August 7th, Thompson said that he attempted to pull over Julian Lewis for a broken taillight. When Lewis refused to stop, the ex-trooper chased him down until Lewis' vehicle ended up in a ditch. 1 week later, the Georgia Bureau of Investigations arrested Thompson for felony murder and aggravated assault. The judge ruled that it would be inappropriate to grant Thompson a bond because of the facts of the case, according to ABC News. Consequently, Thompson will remain in a county jail. The attorney representing the Lewis family praised the judge's decision and the swift action of investigators. While Lewis' car was in a ditch, Thompson claimed in an incident report that he heard the engine revving and saw Lewis's hand on the steering wheel, purposely getting ready to drive off or out of the ditch towards the ex-trooper. Thompson said he feared for his life and shot Lewis once in the head. This incident happened against the backdrop of widespread protests against the slow pace of the Georgia authorities to arrest the father and son, Gregory and Travis McMichaels, on February 23rd for shooting Ahmaud Arbery, a 25-year-old black man who was unarmed. The arrest came months later after a video of the shooting became public, where demonstrators were calling for arrest. This particular story, it seems to me, I know I've spoken about this story some time back, but I had to go back and refresh myself. But it seems to me, and I've said this before, that I think the new strategy for the police, for many of the police departments, got a little tongue-tied. I think their new strategy is do something, charge, right? And then we're gonna wait for some time to die down and then come back and try to either ask for a bail or the charges to be reduced after they think everybody done, left and forgot about it and the anger has kind of went down. Now we can go back to business as usual. Let me, drop the charges or post my bail and let me go on about my business. I think, however, at this point, it has happened so much and the lies have been exposed that I'm not sure if many judges are willing to let police officers off the hook as they once did in the past. And even with this particular story, He claims that the motorist did not want to stop, and so he chased him, and the motorist wound up losing control and going into a ditch. And then it's reported in the incident that although the man was in the ditch, he had his hands on the steering wheel towards the direction of the state trooper. Now, I'm just trying to understand, for me, if you're chasing someone and then they go into a ditch, they would then still be facing frontward, right? Because the ditch would be here. They still would be somewhat facing frontward, and you yourself would be behind the car. So then as you're coming up on the car, you would then, of course, move towards the car. Even if the man had his hands on the steering wheel, he's still facing forward, or however. So how, in fact, did you think he was going to run you over to the point where you shot him clear, point blank range in the head? Yeah, I think it was anger. I think it was fueled. And I think the dash cam probably shows the actual events are different from the incident report. And that is probably why the judge is saying, oh, no. There will be no bail posted. You're going to have to wait till your time in court. I'm sure that there is other evidence that maybe he thought he even erased that shine a light differently on this. And the fact that this happened right after the Ahmaud Arbery call for justice, with the people, sitting at home just chilling, eating bonbons and shit for 3 and 4 months, after they killed a man in cold blood, and nothing happened until people started to, demand justice. And then all of a sudden they wanted to do something because all of these people started, landing on their little town. So, I think this is another case of that. And yeah, we can't let up. We can't just, oh, well, it is not normal, and nor should we make it normal at any point. All of this is unacceptable. Doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right. It should never be acceptable, and we should always fight against it. So yes, I definitely agree with the judge. I am glad the judge did not post bail. And he just has to wait for his day in court, like every other person that, commits a crime. That's what happens. You're not above the law because you are the guardian of it, in a sense. Hey, this is Captivating Christian here to remind you to tune in to Politics and Wellness every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Politics and Wellness every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. You never know what you might get. A former White House aide and campaign advisor to President Donald Trump seemed to indicate that there was some kind of questionable misuse of funds at the Republican Party. MSNBC's Chuck Todd on Tuesday asked Scaramucci about the campaign funds running dry after spending nearly $1 billion to still be losing up against former Vice President Joe Biden.
Hey, very quickly, since you used to be a guy that and you're still a guy that many political committees ask to write big fat checks to, Donald Trump running low on campaign cash, he's supposedly thinking about putting his own money in. There's a lot of skepticism by many of us that he'd actually write his own check. But you know this as a donor. How harder is it for you to write a check to somebody's campaign committee if you know they're as wealthy as you are?
Well, listen, I made that case for him in 2016. I think the real question, though, is what happened to the $200+ million that went into that LLC, and who ended up getting it? And so you missed one of my tweets. I'm asking Ronna Romney McDaniel, where's the money, Ronna? And so I think it's sort of a joke at this point. We know that they're grifting off the campaign. We know the president will never write a personal check into that campaign. And we know that they spent, gajillions of dollars in his hotels to fortify him. So it's a sickening thing, Chuck. I don't like it at all. I haven't written a lot of checks since 2016 as a result of this. They have really exposed the dark side of this sort of fundraising.
Yeah, well, you bring up a good point on all the Trump properties that seem to be profiting off of the campaign and the Republican Party as a whole. Anthony Scaramucci, it's always good to get your perspective on. Thank you, sir.
Hey,
appreciate
it. Good
it.
to be here.
Okay, so once again, here we are talking about this current president, President Donald Trump. So, where should I start? So, Anthony Scaramucci he was going to be the press secretary for President Donald Trump. I think that lasted for a couple days, and then he got fired for whatever reason. Don't know. Let him tell it. He'll say Scaramucci was not that great of a person, blah, 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 and that's why he got rid of him. However, my whole thing with all these people coming out or wanting to ask questions or kind of confirming things that were kind of roaming in the air and wasn't really confirmed about this current president now at this point, it's like you're a little late. Again, you should have said something in the very beginning. You should have said something before he became president. You should have said something in the midst while he was president. Instead, you were complicit, you were quiet, you promoted whatever he was doing, and for whatever reason, and then when it did not suit you anymore, then you wanted to say something. And for that, I just give it a side eye, like, I'm not really feeling you. However, I will say, it is very interesting that $1 billion in campaign funds. Now, campaign funds come from everyday people, be them wealthy or non-wealthy. They are donations that you give into you give to your candidate that you want to win. And for this, it's been his re-election campaign. Now, he's been raising money in this re-election campaign since he was in office. So for 4 years, he has amounts almost $1 billion. And all of these donations don't come from regular people. A lot of these donations come from people who want influence or want the president's ear. So they come from big oil companies. They come from United Emirates. They come from other businessmen and crooked coal miners, and so on and so forth, and some average Americans. Like I said, to the tune of $1 billion. Now, he used a lot of that money. Wanda Cooper Jones, the mother of Ahmaud Arbery, has come out with a public commendation of multiple people who she says was profiting off the death of her son. She's upset with the I Run with Ahmaud social media page. She said that she was in support of it at first because she saw that it as a memorial creating awareness for her late son, which is what she agreed to. However, later on, it transitioned into a business that which her and her daughter take up arms with the administrators. She said she was asked for access by the administrators and was denied. Her second problem with the I Run with Ahmaud trademark, which she never agreed to, nor was asked to be a part, and one of the trademark applicants who had never met her son yet applied for this trademark in an attempt to profit off of Ahmaud Arbery's name. She also publicly criticizing a GoFundMe that was set up after Ahmaud Arbery's death that made national headlines. She says that she did not ask for that to be put up, but that she was thankful for those who made donations to the fund. The campaign was established in early May after Ahmaud was laid to rest. Cooper Jones also went on to say that Ahmaud was covered under a life insurance policy that she struggled to pay for days like what had happened. She would truly never have thought that I would have to use that policy or bury my son. Money cannot replace what I have lost, and the fight for justice does not come without a cost. I was not begging for money, and I was prepared to fight for my son either way. I have always worked for what I wanted. And since the passing of Ahmaud Arbery, I have returned to work because to work is all I know. To hear some people suggest that losing my son is a profit scheme is incredibly offensive to me and my family. In addition, she is also calling out the 223 Foundation, which was named for the date of Ahmaud Arbery's death. The foundation was established by the local high school coach, Jason Vaughn, who Cooper Jones says Ahmaud did not have a close relationship with. Now, this story is pretty sad, but it goes to show you sometimes, people try to run with things and really profit off of the hurt and pain of others. And especially in a time when people are not thinking clearly, their heads are not in the right space. They may agree to things or not agree to things, not knowing, just in the sense of their pain and hurt, not realizing what's going on around them. But once they have time to reflect and kind of collect themselves and realize what's going on, they start calling out certain things. This, in the case, being Ahmaud Arbery's mother. Ahmaud Arbery's mother is calling out the I Run with Ahmaud. It's a social media organization that started to try to make money. It was first to raise money to help bring awareness to what had happened to Ahmaud. Then people kind of turned it into a business to then wanted to trademark I Run with Ahmaud without asking his mother for permission or asking her to be a part of the foundation that they were trying to create. So she took issue with that, and of course the person who tried to create the trademark, she was asking for access to that and was denied. Also, someone who was trying to trademark the I Run with Ahmaud logo had never met Ahmaud a day in his life and yet was trying to profit off of the man's death. However, there were some other people as well. There's a coach at his high school who created a fund for Ahmaud Arbery foundation, and she said barely interacted with him. So, it's sad that you see the ugly side of people when someone has met their demise and they see the potential of all these eyes coming towards one place for the exposure of what had happened. And that's real sad and unfortunate, but shout out to her for actually seeing it and really checking it and calling it out, because I'm sure a lot of people who have lost loved ones have experienced that same kind of pain where people, are profiting off of a loved one's loss. And it's hard that they got to constantly keep seeing it play out day in and day out, or come up every so often, and to have that, where somebody's actually making money. And thank God, and it's a clear sign that, we need to make sure our houses are in order. She had life insurance on Ahmaud Arbery that she struggled to pay for a time such as this, not knowing that she would have to use it. Uh, but, unfortunately she did. But she did thank those who contributed to the GoFundMe account, but she did not necessarily need it. But I'm assuming she did use it and it helped in some way. But yeah, I think that's wrong. You don't go, utilizing someone's pain to make a profit. If you're not going to help the family by giving the proceeds to the family, then you shouldn't do that. I think that's definitely wrong to do. So hopefully, they reach out to her and kind of and to definitely include her in whatever business venture that they're trying to do with her son's name and incident. So I think it's only fair. Either that or disband it. And be sure to join Jay Wilson, Rebel Son, The Official Kingpin, Conscious TV, and Captivating Christian this and every Thursday at 6:45 Central Standard Time, 7:45 Eastern Standard Time for the Gentleman's Panel, where we are not afraid to go there and discuss an array of topics. See you there. Many people have speculated about the behaviors of President Donald Trump's sniffing. Is it an intense breathing exercise used to calm nerves and keep him focused during intense moments, as some right-wing mindset gurus have claimed? Or is it an addiction to ephedrine-laced Sudafeds? Or what about cocaine? Others have frequently and without any sort of evidence claimed that Trump has snorted Adderall, the stimulant used to treat children with ADHD. And thanks to a press conference yesterday at the White House, the Adderall truthers believe they found a smoking gun, a flick of a snorted pill. Let's take a look. Alright, so here's this particular story, and once again I tried to download the little video clip because it's really short, but it wasn't working. So it'll definitely be in my community feed on my community wall. So this is a particular video taken at the White House. He was given a press conference. Who else but President Orange was given a press conference at the White House, and this little projectile flies out of his nose. Now, it's been speculated even before the campaign that he has been taking, like sniffing some kind of drug, some kind of upper, and he's been doing it for years. I don't remember where I saw it, but it was some show I was watching. They were talking about Trump, and they paused a picture of him being in the office eating something, and the desk behind him was open, and it was like tons of pills, tons of pill packages, like that he would just use. So, I mean, don't know if it's necessarily true. I don't think he knew the drawer was open, but you could clearly see all those packages of pills. And then, too, people started to really pay attention once he had that first debate with Hillary Clinton, and he was doing all that sniffing and snotting and all that stuff. Which basically, I mean, and we saw the Republican convention, Donald Trump Jr. definitely looked like he was suited and booted. So I would not be surprised if they do a little booger sugar. It would not surprise me at all. Especially because sometimes the way Donald Trump is and some of the stuff he says, you can either tell he hasn't had his booger sugar yet or he had too much. But if he's had just his normal and he can function, he probably does. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised, and not that it wouldn't matter to some of these people because they're so blinded by their hate and just by the hate and bigotry that it really wouldn't matter what he did. But yeah, I just think, one, that's truly disgusting, and two, it's really funny that how if that happened to any other person, especially like a Barack Obama oh my gosh, you would never hear the end of it. They'd be asking for drug test results and trying to, you know, kick him out first opportunity they had. So this is really funny to me how all these things can come out about this one man and they can all be excused away, but yet his predecessor had to be damn near perfect and still got criticized and dragged through the coals. So yeah, you know, like what kind of America are we living in? Are we living in America where this man can snort drugs up his nose and that be okay? And it be excused as some sort of breathing technique that he uses to calm himself down. Because that's funny, because when he's at the podium and somebody asks a question he doesn't like, he doesn't seem so calm. So maybe those breathing exercises aren't working, or maybe the booger sugar that he's sniffing isn't working. Maybe he needs a stronger dose. And once again, thank you for watching CCN Midday News. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also hit that notification button so you will never miss another news update. Have a great day. Peace.